Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Susan Patrick with Stambo-Ness, and welcome to our very first virtual user group meeting of 2023. I hope the year is treating you well so far. I know there was some bumps in the road with last Friday the 13th. I am not superstitious by any stretch, but goodness gracious, I don't know what was going on after that Friday the 13th. So hopefully we're on a good path here this week, and you all have a nice hot cup of coffee or cocoa or tea or whatever your beverage's choice is as we chunk down through this first meeting of the year. So as always, I'm going to kind of kick things off with introductions and agenda. So of course, I'm Susan Patrick, and today we have Karen joining us. She is one of our Vision Vantagepoint CRM consultants. Sorry, Karen, it looks like I grabbed a really crappy picture of you.
That's okay.
But there you are. As always, I'm going to start off with events and updates, and then we're going to move on to our main event for proposals. And as always, as you can see at the bottom here, please remember to fill out that survey that pops up when you leave the meeting today. I really value your opinions, your comments, your feedback. Really helps give me a direction and let me know that we're doing good stuff for you guys. So make sure you fill that out for me, please. As we move into some upcoming user group meetings, our next virtual meeting is on February 15th. Same time, same channel, and we already have our topic selected, where we're going to be talking about preparing financial statements, a better way for your firm. So we're going to talk about some tips and tricks and some other areas of the application that may be there to help you streamline generating financials from the system. Tomorrow, we have a face-to-face meeting in Pittsburgh. That's at Desmont's offices. So for those of you that are in the area that have RSVP'd, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And then come March, we have our next face-to-face meeting in Central PA. We got those going again back in the fall. And so we got our first one for, oops, I have the wrong date on there. March 16th of 23. So scratch that out on the screen and write in the 3 because it's March of 23, not 22. As we look forward to some of the webinars, other things that Stambo-Ness has going on coming up here soon, February 2nd, we have why people need to be part of your business strategy. Led by, I'm sure, one of our team members. I don't see who's doing that one there, but I'm sure it's somebody that has a lot of great information for you, so please sign up for that. And then on the 9th, we have another one as ownership as a recruitment tool. We have Brad Wilson and Christy doing a deep dive into some ownership strategy type items. And then on February 14th, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. We have another webinar. This one's done by Kate and Christy on compensation and benefit challenges in today's landscape. Boy, it's been a tough one, retaining people and compensation and so on. So I'm sure Kate and Christy have a lot of great things to share there as well. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right in and have Kaylee pull up our first polling question. It looks like it cut off on my slide here. Boy, I was having a rough time pulling this together. But anyway, this is supposed to say, do you currently generate proposals from Vision or Vantagepoint? So if we could pull up that first poll. And as I look at how things are progressing here, just for you to know, Karen, I see it kind of floating in here just to give you a sense of your audience. It looks like the majority of folks are not. So as people are still voting, looks like about 80% are no, about 12% are yes, and the remainder are not sure, and there are a few that didn't know they could. So for all of you, quite frankly, those that are doing it today and that aren't and that might want to do it in the future, hopefully you'll get a lot of great information out of the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, oh, one other thing before I forget. If you have any questions, please make sure you put them in the questions panel. I will be monitoring that as Karen is doing her presentation. I will answer as many as I possibly can. Should we not get your question answered during our time today, we'll make sure that we reach out to you personally. And I think I might have another poll later on down into, oh, she's gonna pull it up now. So, oh, all right, we're gonna come back to that. So go ahead and share your screen, Karen, and we will get this party started. I feel like this is my first rodeo. I know it's yours, but I should be a little bit more streamlined and smooth with this whole thing. Not today. All right.
Give me 1 second here. I'm having a problem getting it to come up as a slideshow.
Okay. I can continue to talk. I don't have any jokes today, but I hope everybody's weather is getting nicer. We had that crazy ice in Pennsylvania in right before Christmas, which certainly threw things for a loop. And I know poor parts of the country are getting slammed with tons of rain and water and other crazy weather. So hopefully wherever you are, you're staying safe and warm. All right, so I see your Vantagepoint menu. That's the one that you were bringing up. I know you were going to try to bring the slideshow up.
Well, let's see here.
If you can just do from current slide, hopefully it'll flip the screen.
Well, it's flipping it over onto my other monitor is the problem.
Okay, well, you can just drag it over if you want.
I tried that.
Karen, you can go to display settings up in the middle of that slide, and you can swap presenter view and slideshow view, and that'll fix it.
Excellent. Thank you. I knew there was a way to do it. I just couldn't figure it out.
There you go.
Kaylee,
thank you.
Yay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry about the technical difficulties. My name is Karen Siegel. I'm a CRM consultant for Vision and Vantagepoint, and I'm just going to give you a taste of what proposals work like in Vision and Vantagepoint, and then I'm going to follow it with a demo of Vantagepoint proposals because they're significantly different than Vision proposals, which most people who do proposals are more familiar with Vision proposals than Vantagepoint. Vision proposals, which you may know, require a CRM and/or a proposal module license. You can do custom proposals with them. You can create government forms, SF330, SF255, and 254 with the proposal module. And you're also able to merge directly from info centers, which is really handy if you need one resume or one project sheet or even a report that's formatted as a merge template. Merge templates in Vision can be created for Word or for InDesign, although InDesign requires that file stream be enabled. There is a macro available in Word to add info center fields to merge templates, including standard and user-defined fields, and including fields from grids, which was a big step forward when that happened. Merge templates, which are created in Word or in InDesign, determine the formatting that you use: margins, fonts, spacing, where the pictures go, what size they are. You can include graphics in your merged documents. The only caveat is that they have to be associated to the record, the project record, the employee record in the links grid in the info center, and the graphic checkbox has to be checked. The merge template macro is, whoops, go back one, is downloaded from Vision. You go to Utilities and you'll see Download Merge Macro. You install that in your Word Startup folder, and then your add-in toolbar includes this custom toolbar with Vision shortcuts. Your merge templates have to have a begin and an end statement. It works really like a mail merge in a way, a word mail merge. You need a begin statement and an end statement, and then all your codes go in between there. And individual group codes also require begin and end statements. So if you're putting employee team members in, you would say begin employee team members, put your codes in, and then there would be an end code at the end of that. You save your Word template as an RTF. One thing that's very nice in these Vision merge templates is that they automatically text overflow to the next page. You don't have to do anything to make that happen. So everything can exceed a single page. It can go as many pages as the content is in the Project Info Center or the Employee Info Center. Okay. You manage your merge templates in configuration general merge templates. They're organized by Info Center. One downside is that you can't create merge templates for user-defined Info Centers. Not a lot of people have those, but if you have them, you can't create a merge template for it, even to merge from the Info Center. And if you want to use merge templates, we recommend updating security roles to allow people access to all merge templates. Custom proposals allow you to select specific projects to appear on employee resumes. If you merge directly from the Info Center, it will pull all projects associated to that employee. You can't choose them. Resume data comes from both the Employee Info Center and the Projects Info Center for projects associated to the employee's records. So in other words, you can't pull projects for an employee that employee didn't work on. SF330 templates, people have so much trouble with this form. Oh my goodness. Vision makes this really simple. You pull data from clients, vendors, employees, projects, and you can pull data from text libraries to use in the section H. The one wonderful thing about this is that it automatically populates the team members from the first page of the SF330 to the bottom of the project sheet. So if you have 5 subs on that first page and 4 of them worked on a specific project, it automatically populates that section of the form. The other wonderful thing about this is that the Section G matrix, if your employees worked on the projects that are in Section F, Section G populates X's or asterisks to tell you that that person worked on that project. You don't have to do it by hand. It's a relational database. It does that work for you. Some tips and tricks. One thing that we say as a general rule is to store data consistently throughout the info centers in the database for standardized use in proposal documents or in anything else. Storing your data consistently is a good rule of thumb no matter what you're using it for. When you do store project data, descriptions, brief descriptions, long descriptions, store those at the project level of the work breakdown structure only. You can't merge from lower levels of the WBS, so storing information there does you no good. You want to use the Deltek macro to add additional fields to existing merge templates. So you can use base merge templates that come from Deltek and modify those to suit your own purposes using the macro. And one thing that we always say when you're working in merge templates is that all of these codes come in brackets. There are brackets at the beginning and the end of each code. Don't type inside those brackets. You will corrupt your merge template in a heartbeat. So if you're going to type outside the brackets.
All right, we're ready to pull up our next polling question. Are you storing project descriptions and resume text in your system today? So again, this is a yes, no, not sure, or didn't know you could. So again, as we kind of see things progressing here, it looks like it's almost 50-50 on the yes and no here. And I do have to comment, Karen, with Vision and the merge templates and the coding, I always get myself in trouble with the inside of the bracket thing because I think I'm going to be smart and I'm going to go in there and fix it manually. Lo and behold, I corrupt it almost every other time.
It will come back and bite you every time.
It does. So the tip there is always save the version before you start editing and save off versions frequently.
Yes.
All right, well, I think we've had enough, 80% have voted. So we got about 38% saying yes, 48% no, 10% aren't sure, and then we got the 4% didn't know you could. So there's your audience as far as who's storing data in the system.
That's actually not bad. Compared to what we saw for the first poll, that's pretty impressive. Let's talk about Vantagepoint proposals. When Deltek moved to Vantagepoint, a lot of things changed. But in my experience, the most dramatic change is in how we develop proposals. Vantagepoint's proposal tool is called Proposal Builder. It does require a CRM Plus license. The biggest change is that merge templates are absolutely no longer used. They don't exist anymore. There are templates, but they're not merge templates, and I'll talk about those in a little bit. This is a single application in Vantagepoint, and it is designed to be a WYSIWYG application. What you see is what you get. It's a drag and drop application. You do have to have file stream activated for it to work. Word and PDF are currently the only two supported formats for export. InDesign is in development. They have not given us a timetable for release on that, but they assure us that they're working on it. And the SF330 is available in the desktop client only. You can't do it from the Vantagepoint web application. The other problem is that they are saying they're not going to, they're not developing SF255 or 254. SF330 will be the only federal form available. A couple of nifty tools in Proposal Builder. You can create element groups, and those element groups can be used to recreate elements of proposals, like a project profile, a firm introduction, a resume format. You can drag and drop them into the proposal, and it will recreate something over and over and over again for you. Images can be associated to, this is actually a little bit inaccurate. Images can be associated to proposals from links or a network location. Attachments doesn't work the way it did in Vision. So we recommend only using graphics that are on a network location or linked to the proposal through attachments. A couple of things that are not yet available in Vantagepoint 5.5. We can't merge directly from hubs. We can't merge directly to InDesign. You can't customize your SF330 format. In Vision, you could put your corporate colors in there. You could put a logo in the header. You could do a bunch of different things to reformat that to match your corporate image or to match a client's particular requirements. That is not possible in Vantagepoint. And again, they have no plan to include 254, 255s. I know there's been some kickback on that because a lot of smaller agencies still use those. If you have suggestions about that, I would direct you to the Deltek Ideas portal, because the more votes something gets, the more attention it gets. Tips and tricks for this. First one is, again, this is a good rule of thumb throughout the database, no matter what you're doing. Store your data consistently throughout your hubs. That way, if you're using them in proposals, you wind up with standardized proposal documents. If you're using it for reports, you wind up with standardized reports. It's just a good idea generally. It's a good idea to create element groups for common proposal pieces like project profiles and resumes. I'm going to be demonstrating that to you to give you a little better idea what that means. And this is an interesting thing. When you update, when you're still in draft mode in the proposal builder, if you update the text in a project description or a resume while you're still in draft mode, those changes flow back to the hub record. So you want to be careful about that. Sometimes we make changes in a proposal to meet a particular RFP's requirements, but we don't necessarily want to save that forever. You want to make sure you don't do that while you're in draft mode. You only do that after you've finalized your proposal. And we're off to the demo.
Awesome.
And let me pull my demo up here. And here we are in Vantagepoint. Now, custom proposals are over here in your navigation tree, right between resource management and billing. And you'll see that there are custom proposals here and templates here. We're going to start off in custom proposals, and then I'll talk to you about templates as we move along. And I'm just going to start by building a new proposal. So I'm going to click on the new proposal button, and I can choose from templates here, but I'm not going to do that today. We want to give our proposal a name, number, if it needs one. If it's attached to a project in the database, you can select that project. And these are only regular billing projects. They're not pursuit projects, so they've been awarded. We can select a client, and we can select an organization in our firm. Proposal manager, whoever's going to be in charge of the proposal. There are additional properties here if you need to use them. I always think it's nice to include the submittal date. And now we've got a proposal to get started on. This is our cover page. I will point something out to you, and that is that every proposal in Proposal Builder starts off in landscape orientation. So the first thing you want to do if you don't work in landscape is come to page properties and swap that to portrait. And you'll want to just resize your text box here to fit in there. Text box is formattable. Double click on it. You can come in and change your font. And we'll leave that Arial, but we'll make it just a little bit bigger because the client is important. You can also come over here and format the actual text box. So if you want to change the background color to dark green, you can come into the color selector and select a color. Now we want to go back into the text, and we can select all of that and change our color to white. And now we've got a banner for our first page. Can add images. And when I said this is drag and drop, I meant it literally. You grab the image icon in General Elements, drag it over to the page where you want that image to sit, double click on it, look for your image, resize it, Just bring that up to a full bleed. You can add another image down here. Double click on it. Resize it. You can bring this to a full bleed using the properties dialog. And if we want to put a logo in here for our company, we can do that. Again, resize it. They come in at full size, so you're almost always going to have to resize. Okay, and now we've got a cover page. I'm not a great designer, so this is pretty rudimentary, but you get the gist of what I'm saying to you. It's literally drag and drop the content in there. Okay. If you go to document properties instead of page properties, you can change all the pages in the document at the same time. It did a little oops and only changed the orientation for the page I was working on. To add content from a hub, you come down here and grab this icon called the hub record, drag it into place, tell it where you want to pull that content from, and then there's a drop down here, and this database doesn't have a whole ton of options, so we don't need to use the search, but we could use the search if we wanted to. And I'm just going to grab Project Approach. And we won't put any images in there. We'll just add it. And now we want to extend that down, grab the text field, and make that large enough for the text. Now you can add graphics to this if you want to, a logo, another image, anything you want to do with it. Okay. Now I'm going to save this record layout as a draft because I'm still working on it. So now it's saved as a draft. Can go back to the cover page, saved as a draft, saved as a draft. Now I'm going to add a page, going to insert a section break here. I'm going to give that section break a name. Save it. And as you can see over here in the sections and pages, now I have 3 sections. I want to add a hub record. I want that to be up here, and I'm going to add records from employees. And now I can choose who I want, or I can search. These are common fields that people are typically going to want in a resume. So you can check those boxes if you want or not, as you don't care to. Sometimes we want to put the title in manually. And this is in a text box the same way that the title of the proposal was. And you can select all that. I'm just going to shorten this up a little bit. You can choose pictures. I have mine on a local drive, but you can choose them from attachments. And I just have a couple of headshots in here. And I'll grab another one for Grace. Save those. And now I'm just going to move this over. And you notice that as I moved the one in the first resume, the one in the second resume is moving the same way. That's because we're in draft mode. I'm resizing this one resizes along with it. Can add text now. Double click on that and you can insert fields. And you can, the great thing about this is you can use the quick find, but you can also scroll down through this list and say, oh, I want to add projects. What do I want to add? I want to add a long name. I want to add their role, and I want to add their role description. Now, I can do one of two things here. I can say projects to be selected later, or I can add all of this person's projects. We're going to stick with to be selected later. Okay. And again, we can format font. And I'm going to want an extra hard return in here to make things space out nicely. And we'll hit save. And now I can add projects for each of these people. Now I'm going to do more search on. And I'm going to go to and I'm going to do the same thing for Grace. More search items. And save that. I'm just going to go back in here and bold the name. For some reason, when you do this, a little extra space gets added before each code. So if you think of it, you can go in there and remove those. Now, we have some text overflow here. There is a way to deal with that. And that is, we can take this background box, make it a little bigger, and then make the content box a little bit bigger. There. Now that's saying text overflow, but it's because there's an extra hard return there, not because there's content there. So now we have two resumes. You can add another box in here for education and licenses and registrations, years of experience with the firm, whatever you care to do, but you can make it look like your resume format. Now, you'll see that there are two resumes on this page. Again, this is the default that comes, that the proposal builder does out of the box. If you want each resume to be on its own page, you just come over here to edit record layout and say page break for each record. And now we can completely get rid of that text overflow by just extending that box a little bit. And we have a second page here. Now I'm going to do something a little odd. And that is that I'm going to delete this entire thing. And the reason I'm going to do that is that I want to add an element group here. And that element group is resume. And you'll see that I now have 3 resumes that are reasonably complete on this page. How you use this as a template is that you go to Edit Record Layout and Manage Records, and you can delete whoever you want and add whoever you want. And they will replace the person who was there. Nope, Emily doesn't have a picture. And we can do the same thing for projects. And Emily apparently doesn't have any projects in this database either. But as you can see, you get the layout and all of the content right in front of you, and all you're doing is switching out people. The same thing happens in projects, which we'll talk about right now. I'm just going to add a page here. I'm going to put a section break in, and that section break is going to be called Relevant Experience. And I'm going to add a hub record, and that record is from projects. I'm going to choose the common fields I want to include. And I'm not including description, and there's a reason for that I will explain in a few minutes. And you can do the same thing here that you did everywhere else, which is that the list comes up that you can select from the list, or you can go into a more advanced search. Okay. And I'm just going to select 2 projects. I'm going to add those. We'll shorten this up a little bit. Now, look at the size and shape of this box. It's ideal for a project header. It's not as ideal to add a description to this. So what I like to do is, instead of including the description here, which you can do, I like to bring in another text field, widen it to the width of the project, and insert my fields here. Come to description, add description, and now we get to pick which description we want to use from the descriptions that are available in the project hub. Still speaking vision sometimes. We'll add detailed description there and insert. I'm going to format that. Hit save. And both of my project descriptions came in. Now, I didn't add a picture when I did this. I could have included an image when I did the original dialogue, but I'm just going to add one now. Okay. Now you'll see that this did not wrap the text. And this is one thing that does not do very well yet. What I suggest to folks is that you wait and wrap it once you export it to Word. Right now, my suggestion is to export it to Word to do the final work. Once InDesign's available, you can export it to InDesign to do the final work, and use export to PDF as a way to send review copies. Okay, so I'm going to save that as a draft. I'm going to save the proposal, And I'm actually going to go to another proposal to show you one, to export one for you, but I want to tell you how to save this as a template. So if you come up here to other actions, you'll see this is where you can export the proposal. You can also save the proposal as a template. You can assign it to a category. These categories are configured in labels and lists. You can add a description in here. And now if we go over to the templates list, we'll see that there's an office renovation with 2 projects per page under industrial. And we can open that up and you'll see that prepared for doesn't exist anymore. So if you come up here to proposal properties, you can add a client. You can add a number. You can add a due date. You can change the proposal manager. You can even change the organization. Okay, you can change these pictures, double click on them, pick a different picture. Sorry, edit record layout, manage records. You can eliminate Emily, add Billy Apple. This project experience flows in. Oh. Don't exactly know why that's happening. Let's try a different picture. Oh, I see why. I was on the wrong person. Helps to pay attention to what you're doing every time. There we go.
It's the little things in life.
It is, isn't it? Okay, we're going to save that as a draft. And you can do the same thing with projects. You come in and you can select new projects to replace the ones that are here. But the layout is already created for you. Okay, I'm going to save that as a draft. We'll save that proposal. And I'm going to come back to custom proposals and I'm going to go to this other proposal. And I'm going to show you how to export. So you come to other actions, you export to Word. It will say, this record has drafts. Do you want to finalize them before you send it to the client? And I'm saying this is not ready to be sent to the client, so I'm not going to finalize just yet. I'm going to continue to export. And this does take a few minutes. There's a little message up here that says, please don't leave this proposal until it's finished. In my experience, it takes just about a minute. When you're waiting for it to happen, it's the longest minute that ever was. But this is when you go get yourself a snack or a glass of water, cup of coffee. And here's my Word file. I'm going to open that up. And you'll see that your proposal comes in exactly as it was formatted. And when I was talking about, I'm just going to save this. So I can work in it. And we're going to format this picture. Sorry, we are going to format that picture. We're going to text wrap tight. And now we've got a picture that's wrapping instead of misbehaving. Let's see, let's come over here. There we go. Don't know exactly what is going on there. And we'll do the same thing over here. And you just need to go to the wrapping options. You don't have to go through a lot of other rigmarole with it. There we go. And again, this is very much like vision proposals. You do have to do some work after the export. It tends to be fairly minimal. A couple of warnings. You may have noticed I made everything Times New Roman, and that is because right now Proposal Builder is only using Google fonts. So a lot of the common Windows fonts that you're used to using, like Calibri, are not available. You can edit the font list and add fonts, but they, again, are Google fonts, not Windows fonts. So Calibri is not in here, and I know a lot of people are using that right now. My suggestion for that is to choose common fonts as you build the proposal, and then do a search and replace to change them to the fonts you need once you've exported it. Now you can export this as a PDF as well. You get the same warning and the same message. Please wait while we generate the file. And again, it takes a few seconds. This is not a huge proposal, so it doesn't take quite as long, but you can imagine if you have a lot of graphics and stuff in here, it's going to take it a minute to think about it and get it out at a resolution that's acceptable. And here it is as a PDF. Okay. And you can do a save as for this. And open the file in Acrobat or whatever PDF viewer you use. Now the downside of this is because it's a PDF, you can't work with it, but it is fine to send it out for review. And once it's finalized, if you can finalize it in Proposal Builder, you could certainly export it for print if you needed to. It's not right now my recommendation. This is still an application that's in development. There are positive changes to it every time we have an upgrade. So I expect that its capabilities are only going to expand as time goes on. Anyway, that is Proposal Builder in a nutshell. Well,
That's
a
fantastic.
rather large nutshell, but a nutshell.
Awesome. So this has been great. I really love the drag and drop of how they've kind of added that in Vantagepoint. As I said earlier, I know I personally mess up the merge templates when I go to make a change, and this kind of makes it, I guess, Susan-proof.
It does,
It does. Gee, thanks
in a
for that
way, in a
confidence,
way.
Karen. But yeah, absolutely. This has been great. I think we've had a couple questions coming through. I think I've gotten them mostly updated. There's one area, maybe if you could just go to quickly out of the
Sure.
proposals, because there's been a couple questions on this, and I know you can get there pretty quickly.
Mhm.
If I go to the Employees Hub, can you show Karen on that Experience tab where people will see the project listing and those
Sure.
items?
Sure. We want to come to the Experience tab, and this is all the projects that Chris Davis has worked on. And what you want to do is come over here to the role description field, click the little pencil, and start adding content about what Chris did on the project. So, it's pretty easy to find. And the one thing I will say about it is that the field is invisible until you actually click on it. So, but where it is, it's virtually identical to where it was in Vision. It just looks different because the software has been upgraded. But you just click on role description, click on the pencil, and add content to your heart's desire, to your heart's content.
Awesome.
And role is a drop down. Okay, any other questions?
Those drop downs, just to remind everybody, is part of your settings, where you
Yes,
kind of set up your lists.
your lists and your labels.
There we go.
Yeah, they used to be called code tables. They're not called that anymore. They're called labels and lists now.
Awesome.
Okay.
Let's see, a few questions coming in here. Some of them we might have to get back to you folks on, just because it's like you guys have been holding off and now you're putting a whole bunch in here. Just a reminder to those of you that are asking about InDesign, keep in mind that Vision will allow you to create an InDesign merge template. Today, Vantagepoint does not yet have that functionality. So if you are an InDesign lover and user and use it in Vision and like how that works, please make sure that you're putting that in the Deltek Ideas portal. And that's access to that is through customer care. More voices voting on things or putting out enhancement requests, the better we will all be, because Deltek does listen, believe it or not. All right.
Yeah, the only way to incorporate InDesign to Vantagepoint at this point in time would be to export to Word and then move the Word content into your InDesign template, which is kind of a pain in the neck. So, I don't advise that. If you're absolutely married to InDesign and you have Vantagepoint, you want to use proposals, that is a workaround, but it's not Vantagepoint. It's not InDesign being compatible with Vantagepoint by any stretch of the imagination.
Awesome. Any other tips or tricks, Karen, before we kind of close?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay, all right. Well, I know we have a whole bunch of questions that have kind of come in here at the last minute, and I know I am not going to be able to kind of get those answers in there, folks, before the top of the hour. So like I said, when we started the event today, if we haven't answered your questions, we will make sure that we get back to you one-on-one if we've not been able to answer your question. So I just wanted to say thank you, Karen. I appreciate the time and effort that comes into pulling together a presentation and doing this. I know it's a lot of effort. Even though it's only 45 minutes to an hour, it does take pull the content together. So we certainly appreciate you doing this for us. And folks, we'll see you in February at our next meeting. And like I said, we'll get these answers to these questions that are out here lingering back out to you personally. Thank you again, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
You too, Susan.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Kaylee.